What's up, y'all? DJ the Sports Blerd, I'm back. Did you miss me? Man, I think I have a decent video today, y'all. I think I do. And it's just pretty much me and my thoughts. But it's my thoughts more so as a Buckeye fan coming into this game and why I'm nervous about this game. Before I give you my thoughts, guys, I gotta ask every time. Please, if you're a fan of college football, consider hitting that subscribe button. You'll love it over here. It's great. People in the comments, you guys are always going back and forth. Sometimes you guys tell me I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you guys tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's always a good time. So like I said, consider hitting that subscribe button. All right. So, and this is my fear. And I haven't had this fear as a Buckeye fan in many, many years. I mean, us winning 11 out of 12 at one point, completely just wiping Michigan off the map. Those Rich Rod errors, remember that era? That was a good era, y'all. They couldn't get us. Remember they hired Brady Hoke and they thought he was going to be a Michigan man and he was going to be the one to get us. Man, that was some good times, y'all. And, Michigan, for the first time, they got us. And the crazy thing about that game, I remember watching that game. I was at work, right? And I had no fear Ohio State was going to lose. Not because I thought that Michigan was a bad team. It's just because I haven't seen Ohio State lose to Michigan in so long. Every year they're going to pull it out. And then last year, with everything that we had on the table, we had a potential playoff berth at hand. We were looking like one of the best offensive in the country. I really liked our chances versus Georgia and Alabama last year, man. I thought for a fact if we just got past Michigan, if we got to the Big Ten championship, we were going to win it and then, put the cards out and let you guys play cards from there. But I liked how we matched up against Georgia and they came in and absolutely smoked Michigan. I didn't really feel like Michigan deserved to be there. They just got lucky and beat us last year. I'm sorry if I come off as a hating Ohio State fan, but that's how I tell you. But I say all that to say this. Because of what happened last year, I have a heck of a lot more respect for Michigan. A heck of a lot more respect. I mean, the way that Jim Harbaugh runs that program, he's running it very well. And I'm so glad for Michigan's sake that they chose not to fire him because, y'all got to remember when he first got in those 3-4 years, he couldn't beat Ohio State. He couldn't beat Michigan State. He couldn't beat a ranked team. Every time his team would play on the national lights, he would always lose. And, Michigan had an opportunity to fire him because there were a lot of people who wanted his head. But they stayed with Jim Harbaugh, and it has paid off dividends. Not only did they stay with Jim Harbaugh, they offered him a lifetime deal. They doubled down on him. At some point, and that's what I appreciate about Michigan because they went through so many head coaches, right? And then they said, you know what? We got to stay with one guy. We got to run with this guy. And so for their sake, they were able to do that. And it got them. They won one time last year. And that one time they won might have been the best, sweetest victory in the whole entire rivalry for them. I mean, I have friends that are Michigan fans, right? They've been down to the dumps. That one win over Ohio State, that snowy day, where they ran us off the road, it almost null and voided what happened after that game, right? Now, they went to the Big Ten championship, shellacked Iowa, and then they walked into the playoffs and got shellacked themselves. But beating Ohio State, getting to that conference championship game, which they had never been to, their main rivals, Ohio State, they had to just keep watching every year over and over and over again, watching Ohio State win, watching Ohio State just behead teams and then have success in the college football playoffs. Can you imagine Michigan getting smoked by Ohio State, watching them then, behead Wisconsin, just completely rip them in half? On their way to the very first college football playoffs, right? The very first, they beat Alabama, they beat Oregon, and you're just sitting at home like, oh, it had to be Ohio State. It had to be our number one rival to do all this. Imagine how sick that they made them feel. And then to get to that point last year where they just had a role reversal, right? They have been so close so many times, right? They have been so close. You remember that Curtis Samuel, run to the left. It was that outside run That was if you remember that game, we were down. JT Barrett, that's the play. JT Barrett got stopped. It was like a 4th and 1, and you just see JT Barrett getting ready to cross the line, and at the last second, the Michigan defender just gets him well enough to where JT Barrett lays on his side. I'm a Buckeye fan, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea if he got that or not, but he was not going to not get that call, at this shoot. They were not going to listen. Had the referees, I almost felt bad for them. They were in a tough situation. Number one, they had already called the run a first down. So you had to have just indisputable evidence that it wasn't a first down. Then if they did find that evidence, they're in Columbus, in Ohio State. Ohio State versus Michigan, and the game has been one of the closest, best played games of all time. Ohio State was getting that call. That's just my 2 cents. So to get from there to finally beating Ohio State, finally, as a matter of fact, to make it even more sweet, I know sometimes you want to go on the road and beat them, right? But they beat them at their place, and they could celebrate with their fans. Instead of going in the shoe and beating them and having to, fight the opposing fans, you got to do it in front of your people, the same people who were with you when you were down on your face. And that's what makes me nervous. That was one long soliloquy. I hope you're still with me. But Derek, I know what you guys are saying. Derek, they went to a height that they've never been last year. Why should you be nervous? And my answer to that is, because they're hungry. They've tasted it. They want it. So you got to be able to crawl before you walk. And as an Ohio State fan, you have to recognize what Michigan's been doing every year. They've just been getting a little bit better. And I want to say that's their motto. I have a good friend of mine, his name is Glenn. And, he's a Michigan fan. And we're always going back and forth. And he's like, just a little bit better every day. And they're at a point where coming into this game, I have no idea who's going to win. And I'm almost afraid to pick Ohio State. Not saying that my picks will have any bearing on the game, but I'm almost afraid to pick Ohio State, right? Because I am a little superstitious. I could see C.J. Stroud having a terrible game. I could see whoever the running back, whether it be Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams, Dallin Hayden, who's been looking like the best running back of the three, the most at least healthy of the three, having a bad game. I can see so many different things happening. And I can see Ohio State losing. On the flip side, I can obviously see Ohio State winning, but, Michigan, they are coming off of just a really dominant season. They have been the most complete team in college football this year, bar none. And I think that it can almost give you a sense of ease when you see their best player, Blake Corum, go down. He came back in the game last week. He had at halftime 18 carries for 108 yards and a touchdown. He was doing Blake Corum things, and he hurt himself. And he came back limp. He limped off that first half. Came back in that second half. Ran onto the field, almost reminiscent of I forget the New York Knicks. I think it's Earl Monroe or something like that. When he came back hurt, and he's running down the tunnel for the New York Knicks in that 1960s game. If you guys are sports fans, you're with me. If you're not sports fans or Knicks fans, you're like, what the hell is this man talking about? But reminiscent about that. But, he came back in the game. He only had 1 carry for 5 yards, so he didn't really play. And, after the game, they said he could have continued to play, but I don't buy it. That was, up to that point in the season, the biggest game. They were losing at one point. So I don't get that they didn't want to put their best player back in the game, that they had that much confidence in themselves that they would find a way. I don't believe that at all. I do believe he's really hurt, but I know he's going to come in like a warrior and give and give his best. I know he's going to try. I know he's going to push, and it wouldn't surprise me if he had some weirdly miraculous game where he runs over all of the Buckeyes. 25 carries for 200 yards. I could see that happening. 3-4 touchdowns. I really can. It makes me so nervous, man. I think Ohio State's going to win the game, but just how everything lines up in a rivalry game makes me nervous. So let me know if I'm by myself. Let me know if all I did in this video was ramble. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what you want me to make videos of. I really appreciate just getting in front of a camera sometimes and just expressing my thoughts on college football. I just like talking it. If no one was watching it, I'd still do this. No one does watch these these videos for the most part, but I still like to do these. So if you're an Ohio State fan, please let me know in the comments below, man. What do you think? Are you nervous about anything? Do you see Ohio State losing? Do you see Michigan coming in here and dominating? What do you see as an Ohio State fan? Let me know in the comments down below. Please subscribe. Please like the video. Please all that stuff. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Have a good one.